This podcast is in association with the Blast Wing Shooting Kennels, the Rush of the Flush Hunt Club, and is sponsored by American Natural Premium Dog Food, B Mountain Knife Works, and the National Bird Dog Circuit.
We be rocking.
Well, wow, it's been a while since we've been back. Welcome back to Wingmasters Truth Be Told, episode 12. It's been, the new year since we've been back on to do an episode for everybody, and it's been a lot going on. It feels like every time that we've been trying to podcast over the last few weeks, it's like something's constantly been going on. This weather, though, is what really... Woo! You want to talk about the winter blues. It is rough when you're training dogs in the winter. And I've been for the last, 3-4 years since you knowing me, I went to Louisiana. And I go down there and train, and Alec stays back and does a few forest fetches, takes care of the place and watches over the place while he was doing all his college stuff and stuff back at the time. And I'm always down in Louisiana training, fighting the mud or whatever I got going on down there and getting to see at least a sunny day, or at least seeing a 70 day. Now all of a sudden we're decided, I'm like, we're going to stay back. I want to film, I want to write, I want to stay home for winter, and boy, oh boy, have I missed a little bit of some Louisiana time in terms of...
Yeah, last year was the good year to do it.
Yeah,
last year I didn't get an inch of snow.
Right, and then think about right now that probably all my friends in Louisiana now are around Fat Tuesday and stuff. All they're doing is eating crawfish and crawfish boils and all the old southern food and at this time of year when they're celebrating. But I have been happy to stay around home and start kind of just really diving into what it is it's going to take in order to be the Wingmasters business. It's in terms of how it's going to help you guys. I know you've heard me talk about the mentorship program, which we can talk a little bit about. Heard me talk about the filming and about the follow along program. And I was telling Alec the other day that I just had like this a little epiphany. I think I've mentioned it to you guys before, but maybe a little deeper epiphany that when I was during the summer and over, I can't even think of how many years people have come and did private lessons with me in the summer. And I would give them bits of information of whatever they were working on, steadying a dog, force fetch, their puppy, whatever it was, marking, whatever subject, running blinds, fixing problems, whatever it was. Some people come to me for problem solving. All the subjects you could think about, retriever training, and also with pointing dogs too in the upland. And they'd come to me and say, okay, I don't want to leave my dog here. I want to train him on my own, but I need some guidance. And I would give them guidance. I'd give them homework, and they'd come back. And I was telling Alec this summer, and I think I mentioned in another podcast, I might be repeating myself, but it was a beautiful thing that these people were coming back this year. Since we were starting to film this year in the summer, and the summer caught up to us with training too many dogs, which is part of the reason why I wanted to film right now, although the weather is kicking our butt a little bit. But is because we got so busy in the summer that we couldn't complete the task. There wasn't enough hours in a day. So now I knew there's not as many hours in a day, but the weather's been kicking our butt. We've been getting 3 to 4 day work weeks to show these pups and these dogs in the fetch process to show them training, but it's been showing a reality of what it's like. You might live in the Midwest. You might live in a state where it's raining all the time, whatever, and you're just going to have to deal with whatever weather gives you and whatever your weeks give you. Some of your weeks are going to be busier and stuff. But what I was going to say is it came to the point last year, because I was in such process mode of training dogs and in such process mode of how I wanted this program of Wingmasters to come out, my private lessons became much, much better. So I was literally giving private lessons in the summer, and these people were coming back 2-3 weeks later. Now my jaw was dropped. It was as if the dog had been training with me for 2 weeks, they were progressing almost the same. And many, many times people ask me, what if I could just have private lessons with you weekly or daily, or could I come stay with you for a little bit and for a week and figure it out and stuff like that? It's like, well, that's what Wingmasters is all about. It's all about the fact that you're going to basically, what I was getting at here on this subject was, you're going to be able to have a private lesson with me every single day. And I'm actually taking my time with it. So I was telling Alec the other day that I'm like, the thing about the right now is that I could be pushing these dogs faster, but I'm actually stopping and showing when something goes wrong, and I'm actually letting the dog do something wrong longer than what I would. Instantly I would hit it on a correction normally and being like, oh no, and mold it. But I like stop and be like, okay, now watch this dog doing it incorrectly right now, because I want you to see this so that you can see how the system's going to work itself. And one of the quotes that I've been working over and over and over again is, let the system train the dog. The process is training the dog. You just be the guide. We are so seeing this right now as we're filming. We are filming right now and we are watching the process take the dog and train it perfectly. And you're just watching me go slow and just show you along the way how it's working with a lazier dog that we're talking about with Curtis, and a real hyper dog that we had that we call Swag, and then 2 really neat puppies with Amy and Eric. But with that being said, Alex, since you've been now, we went in the summer. It was warm. We were pushing them puppies. We were, getting through that, and it was long days. Now we've been going at this one. What do you think is happening right now, like that you're seeing on a difference from now to then, or maybe things that was better then than now, or things that you think that you're liking, or whatever? What's your perception of what we've been doing now with this weather and everything that we've been battling with?
It's funny because we've been doing that. We filmed a lot the first year when that was with the old camera.
Right.
And then we filmed a lot this past summer. And then we actually started with the GoPro, if you remember that, in the winter. That was when I first started working for you.
Right.
And that was before I even started force fetching.
This is fun to go over. I'm glad you're saying this.
Because this is what I was thinking about when you said you're taking more time and letting dogs do that normally you would correct. So then we went to the old camera. And then we did last year, so this is the third round with the new camera, but we still didn't like it. And we just weren't having enough time in the day to do it. But including, you said, at the end of the summer, you said, I want to switch something. So it's funny because I'm probably at 60 to 80 dogs right now I force fetched and trained, like in terms of force fetched. And every time throughout each of the 4 filming timelines that we've had, I've still learned something each time. And awesome. So like coming from me, I force fetched 60, 80 dogs probably I'm at, somewhere there. And I'm still learning. So that's
awesome.
That's the thing for if you're going through Wingmaster, you're struggling. I'm at that point and I still learn something every day. Like, oh, okay, I like how he did that. I'm going to try that next time. Or, oh, he's doing this. I've had that plenty of times. I didn't know how to correct it, but now I do. Because usually I would just come to you and say, hey, help me fix this quick. So that's one thing I really like. One of the things that I like about training more in the winter is that dogs don't get hot. That's a big thing we talk about.
Right.
I don't like the dogs because you're creating more problems, in my opinion, with hot than cold.
Right.
And then the reason we're getting 3 to 4 work days, it's not because we can't just go train, because we're still training our dogs, but the camera, we're not going to go put a camera in a snowstorm.
Yeah.
It's just how it is.
Right.
And we've done a little bit inside. I think the inside work's cool, and you get to see how dogs can change from being inside to outside. But, I mean, the big thing is I love that what we're getting right now, but it's the weather that's always going to affect it. And I love that, how you're explaining it this time, because it's not a mirror image from what we did this summer, but you're explaining it in a triangle instead of baby steps. Yeah. And I like the triangle better.
Great.
So I think, and then, like I said, in the summer, you weren't letting those dogs get away with nothing. So it might have been hard for some people to see what was going wrong as you instantaneously corrected it.
Right.
And I mean, you explain it, but it's like hard for a person because there's different versions, like mouth bobbling. I've never seen, I told you about Swag. He's mouth bobbling really bad, which means he keeps going like this with his head because he doesn't want it in his mouth.
Right.
Up and down. Like he's making that conscientious choice to keep it in his mouth, but he head bobs because he's like, I don't want it in my mouth.
Right.
Well, I've never seen a dog do it that bad. And I asked Mike the other day, I'm like, I can't believe he's still doing that, but it's because you're letting the people show, because you can instantaneously correct that. You can. You can show it, but somebody else that's never force fetch a dog isn't going to know how to apply the right pressure, see the reaction that they're getting. Okay, no, I got to do a little more of this or a little more of that. So instead of instantaneously collecting, you're showing them, letting it go on, but you're correcting it over a slower period of time. And I think I really like that.
Great.
So that's one thing. I like how it's molded over the past 3 years that we've done it to where it is now.
Well, great. And you just made some awesome points there that even pinged my brain as you were saying on that. I want this to be perfect so that, and obviously there's going to be different versions, and we can, the nice part about it is even our old filming, if we want to interject something into what we're doing and say, oh, okay, this is what another dog has done, so we got the ability to do that now with old footage. But I agree with you. The fetch process, the reason why I'm so thorough on the fetch process, I'm writing the book about the fetch process, is it's the most enigma of retriever training. It's the hardest process. I was talking to Alec the other day. I said, remember when you were doing this I said, picture this. I said, 3 years ago, I says, you were FaceTiming me when I was in Louisiana and you were doing chaos. And just think if I would have had Wingmasters for you then. And we were talking about that. And then you did Karma on how she was a different style dog and how easy she was. And now, like you said, by working for me and becoming an apprentice and working through a cripe, I wasn't even thinking about it. You're right. You've done about 60 and 90 dogs already, which is amazing at my place, and all the experience you've gotten with dogs coming through your hands. And just what you just said, taking the time to show you when a dog does something wrong. And Clinton Anderson was I keep listening to him a lot in the horse world because obviously I like to have a mentor of who can help me, and I watch a lot of his horse training videos on how he's doing it. And he told me in our phone consultation that make sure you're showing it in the reel. So the one thing that I would say that I don't want to say I'm disappointed about, or one thing that I would like a little bit more is it's cold out. It's the end of the day training. We're interjecting. We're coming. We're literally like what was working best for us is we're literally loading the dogs up, going to location, training, and then we let the camera warm up in the truck, leave the truck warm, and he goes one way down and trains the dog. I go another way and train the dog, and then okay, you think the camera's warm enough? Let's film the next one. That's what we've been having to do. So like if you were to look at it from a mindset of, oh, I love it to be professional, where every day I'm dressed nice and I'm groomed up nice, and every day everything's looking perfect and I wear the right uniform and I picked up my clothes, all right. But the reality of it is I was telling Alec the other day, I like the fact that, hey, I'm training and all of a sudden we grab a dog and I go train. And I'm not in the perfect stuff all the time. You'll see my clothes muddy because today is a spring day where literally it's been kind of fun because we've been watching the weather go up and down, and you're literally gonna see week by week go from winter to spring on the camera right now.
When we film tomorrow, somebody's gonna think it's a different day because we just got about 8 inches of snow and it was almost all melted.
It was all melted, and now we just got 8 inches of snow, and that's why we're podcasting today. But yeah, it's been and writing has, I think, brought out stuff that you just mentioned, Alec. Writing, when I write, it brings out my knowledge more, and I can put it on paper, and then I can take my knowledge and bring it back. So I think when you get the manual, and I write my first book, and you got that in your hand, where at night you can sit down and read and like internalize it, and then you can go watch it on film, it's going to be even better because I'll be able to explain things in a book that you can read and then see, because there's so much knowledge, and I'm thinking, and literally when I'm walking, I'm just talking about what's coming off the top of my head. And so, excuse me, it's been so much fun. But I want to explain something about this. And we've talked about it in other podcasts, and as long as we're in the spring and we're coming with the puppies, we're also doing 2 puppies in a puppy program. And I'm doing that on a version that's could be even more elaborate, but right now I'm just doing a good version that's a simplistic, get your puppy out, here's what you can do with it, and roll with it. But I'm mentioning the fetch process again, which you hear us mention all the time, because it's the backbone of every single thing you're ever gonna do with your dog. If you can't get this dog to retrieve properly, to come in and sit in front of you first, and then finish on side to side, and if you want the side heel later on. Okay, if you can't get a dog that's retrieving for you, you can't go into blind retrieves. And I've said this over and over and over. The fetch for a blind retrieve is just an extension of fetch with your hands. That's it. If I'm saying back, that just means turn around and go fetch something. Tweet, angle back. Okay, that means run at an angle, turn around and go grab something. Back is literally saying fetch. Tweet, over. That means run over and go fetch something. Okay? So when we go into blind retrieves and we start talking about, and you're going, okay, Mike, what's a blind retrieve? So maybe this is the first time you ever listen to this podcast. A blind retrieve is when I hand signal a dog to something. When I use my hand signals to do something. You can listen to other podcasts that we do that
to an unknown destination.
To an unknown destination. The dog hasn't seen me. Okay, that's an extension of force fetch, of the fetch process. I used the old term force fetch there, but fetch process is what I call it, because it's not really force fetch now the way that we do it, and you'll see it out of it. All right, once I got that, well, man, now we can go into what we're about to go into after this, which is hunt 'em up training, which is starting to work your quartering for upland if you got an upland dog, but also work your quartering for your duck dog in the marsh of finding cripples. So hunt 'em up training means get out and find something. Your hunt dead is, okay, your buddy dropped the bird in an upland field or dropped the duck over there, and you bring the dog over and start telling him, okay, hunt him up, hunt that. And he's got to start leaving you and going and searching for a bird that's been hit by another hunter that's over here somewhere. You say, I got it down somewhere over here. Can you bring the dog over? Okay, that's a big piece of what we call a hunt 'em up training, right? Okay, all that cannot be accomplished if you don't have the retrieve first, because once they find the bird, they must grab it, come heal up with it, and retrieve it. So all the stuff we talked about in previous podcasts, we're really unraveling right in front of you, so that when you end up being able to follow along in the mentor program, which is the first thing, and then eventually to where we release these different programs, you're going to see how this is it's how it works so beautifully in order for you to build a continuality retriever. Because I'm going to be doing a lot of seminars this summer that we'll talk about, and that's like one of the number one things I see.
One thing I really like about it is, I like talking about the dogs that I've done the fetch process under. You can come and pick up your dog and you won't know whether I trained it or you trained it.
Right.
But where I'm relating this is the videos that are being filmed right now and how you're going through the fetch process with each one of those two dogs that we're doing right now is the same way that you and I do it no matter what. So it's practically like you training it. You just don't have the experience. But It's not like there's anything changing. So if you come and pick up a dog, you don't know, you and me could train the same dog, fetch the same dog. You might get it done a little quicker. But at the end product, they're still going to fetch the bird perfectly. They're still going to come up, heal up, sit down, present you the bird, tent hut, and be done. Well, that's the same thing you're seeing on the filming. And I've had something that's itching at me. I saw this comment, and I couldn't believe it, but I guess I can believe it because that's how some people are so delusional about it. But we were, like with these two puppies that we're working on, we're doing gun conditioning. We completed with Eric. We're working on it with Amy. Well, Amy is a bad little son of a gun. Right. Gonna be oh my God, she's gonna be an upland machine. But the first time we shot behind her, she got a little scared. Right. Not scared, but she gave us a reaction that was unwanted, that we didn't want to keep pushing it. So we continued, and you'll see that in the videos. But let me tell you, this dog is crazy about birds. Is gonna be an amazing hunting dog. But if we would have just taken that puppy, I know this is where I think people are just completely delusional, where they don't believe in gun conditioning. And there's a comment that said you need to bring all the puppies out and just start shooting guns and see, because they're born gun shy.
Yeah.
That's like saying I would love to see you take your 2-year-old kid and go shoot your pistols right next to him without any earmuffs. Would you ever do that? Well, he was born not liking guns then. If your 2-year-old don't.
Oh my God.
No, but I would have loved to comment. Like, I wanted to comment on this guy and say, okay, I want you to take your 2-year-old and go shoot guns right around him with no earmuffs. And then if he's scared, it's because he's gun shy. I mean, how stupid is that?
Yeah.
Like you relate it like that. I understand the idea of, okay, a dog that's 8 weeks old that isn't scared of guns right about. Okay, that's cool. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. But you can't tell me that every puppy's gonna be like that. That's just delusional. That's, like I said, whoever says that, I want you to take your 2-year-old kid and do that exact same thing to him.
Oh, man.
Because you would never, just because it's a dog and you want to see if they're born gun shy.
Yeah,
I was so, now am I right because of it? Like, how are you that delusional? Like, come on. Seriously though, I saw these comments.
Oh, we went down this road already, which is
Like,
crazy.
I didn't know it was to that extent until I started reading about this guy when he commented on something.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, oh man, that's yeah.
And then I'll debunk your thing right now. How is a dog born gun shy when you can get them out of gun shyness? Well, if they were made gun shy.
Right.
Because if they were born gun shy, they're never going to come out of it.
Right.
They're just going to always be gun shy. Well, how many have you killed? 5, 6 since I've been with you?
Oh yeah.
I'm just calling total bull.
Yeah, the truth be told, and I'm glad you're telling truth be told. It's like anything what's been my word lately, right? Navigating people. It seems like since we started this and we're helping you with information, the common sense people go, oh, that's right, Mike, that's right, Alec. Of course they wouldn't be. Why would I think that? Somebody just told me that and put that in my head, so I'm glad that you straightened it out for me, right? Okay. When the success of something and I was talking to you about this on many of our road trips, when the success of something's happening, when something's going good and we're putting something in the universe, it's like automatically somebody has to come and try to like debunk the truth, right?
And this guy works with dogs and trains dogs, so it's like, delusion.
Yeah, so he works with dogs and does it and makes himself look stupider by doing that because I'm telling you the truth, we live it, we do it every day. If anybody listens to your advice, they're going to ruin their dog.
Wait, how many dogs are you out trained again?
Yeah.
Over 1,000? What's your success rate?
Yeah, 1,000%. Yeah.
Yeah, so there it is right there.
There it is right there. So you're talking about somebody, here's the other thing that you're bringing up that somebody else brought up, and this brings up another point of this. Okay, different breeds. Oh, well, if you want to go down a different breeds route, I've also done many, many different breeds. Okay, of course I have my own breeding program of labs, but I've done Goldens and Boykins and American Water Spaniels and Springer Spaniels and I've done mixed breeds. All right, we've done obedience on just household dogs that want their dogs to be better. I've done coonhound mixes because they just want to see if the dog will chase a grouse. I mean, it's insane of the things I've done for people because of how excited. And I literally want to try to tell them, be like, hey, you could just buy a better dog, like Rubble, right? Yep. There's another prime example. And as long as we're on this topic, I was 100% honest with this owner from South Dakota of like, okay, the dog's a year old. You shot guns around him at the house. He's been sitting in a pen for a year because you live in South Dakota. You own a pheasant, one of the best pheasant places I hunted all fall. And I call him and say, hey, it's taken me way longer to gun condition this dog than what it should. Oh, yeah. Well, we just bought him from down the road. Just somebody who was breeding, and we didn't really know, but, he should be good. I think he'll get through it. Hold on. Do it another month and see what happens. Okay, well, I literally was honest with him. It literally took me 2.5 months to get this dog crazy enough about birds to be able to gun condition. We got out, and now he's in the fetch process, and he's going to end up being a little bad. He's a golden retriever. He's going to end up being a little bad hunting dog with no paperwork. They have no idea about the background on of anything. Okay, and he's been with me since this fall. Okay, the owners love the dog so much that they're keeping him with me saying, hey, all right, I literally told them, timelines are out. I can only go at what this dog does, right? So the breed specific. So somebody will say to me, well, Mike, it's because you're used to the labs and they're high power in what you breed. Yeah, correct. I am. That is what I'm breeding. And I want to breed good genetics, so it's easy training. That's a whole nother subject we talk about. Good genetics makes your life easier to train, right?
Really?
Okay. Yeah. I don't know if you've heard that before. Okay. So, but if you present a dog and you go, hey, I want to use the training methods, this is the dog I got, I can't get another dog right now, I can't afford one, or whatever you got, whatever the circumstances is, okay, then you throw the timelines out of the picture. And you go, all right, take the lessons plans that we're just talking about right now, and you literally just go in time, and you don't let time be it. If the one video is the one video, and it says that it's week 3 Wednesday, and what we're saying in the video, and you need to stay week 3 Wednesday for 2 weeks by itself, because that's where you got to. That's no problem. You just stay at that video. That's why we're showing you the process. I mean, here's the thing. I can easily whip up. I mean, I'm so happy that I get back to Clinton Anderson a little bit. I'm so happy I called him, and you got everything fired up, and this is spewing a whole other thing now. But I could easily throw a production together that shows a dog already doing it and say, yep, just like every other training program in the country.
And just like every other dog.
And just like every other dog, and shows them doing. So what are they doing? They're demoing. They're not teaching you. You have to understand that I'm showing you the real life training. We're sharing with you real life moments right now. Real life training, right? Okay, if a dog goes out and they just shoot a bird for him, okay, and they go to him and they go, oh yeah, okay. Well, they didn't show all the steps it took for that dog to get to be able to go shoot a bird for him for the first time, right? And so you would just go, oh yeah, I do a video. Oh, this is how you shoot a bird for your dog. I go out, we show you how we do a little gun conditioning. We go shoot the bird for him. We show you a dog already doing it. When you're back to what you just said about Amy, okay, who's going to be a little badass. All right, she gave us a reaction to the gun. We stopped the camera. We didn't stop the camera. We stopped the moment. I said, okay, Alec, I stopped right there. I picked her up. I said, okay, now, and what's cool about it, like I was telling Alec, I said, I think we're going to have to stop there, cut that, slow motion that, and like really make a good point of that during the series. So that's what's going to be also about our editing, which is why things take so much time. Because in that moment, we're going to stop and show you that in slow motion of how her demeanor changed and how we stopped right then and there, and we go, okay, the gun is out. We have to stop now because she just gave us a weird thing on that. That's the realism.
I mean, we're so serious about that. I told Mike we just might have to, every time a dog takes a poop on camera, we're going to just have to keep the video, like I keep the video rolling, we'll just put it at the top left corner and have you on screen making a shit bit, I called them. Like, that's how serious we are. The only cuts you're going to see is probably a dog taking a crap.
Yeah, I don't even want to edit it. That's why, back to what we were saying, raw and real. Back to like, okay, my pants are muddy today. Yeah, I've just been training 20 dogs and I stepped out and we grabbed the camera and went and filmed. Okay, it's muddy today. It's going to be muddy when you train it. Your puppy's going to jump on it. It's going to get muddy in the spring.
Like, what did you do? What did you do when you go home? You just bought the fetch process videos online. Well, you didn't just, if it's not the weekend and you got a job, weren't just sitting around at home. You came home from work.
Right.
That's the same thing as you.
Yeah, same thing as me. Just come home from work and do it. So, the fun part about this podcast is, there's so much stuff spinning through my head with that comment you're saying right now. The fun thing about this podcast is we get to tell you the truth. We get to let people comment on it to try to debunk the truth, but there's nothing to debunk because we're showing you exactly what's supposed to happen. So if you want to try to elaborate on, well, this breed's different or that breed's different, this dog, what do you think? I've never trained any different breed of dogs of all 1,000 dogs I train. Nowadays, I train almost as many pointers as I train flushers, or in terms of retrieving breeds versus pointing breeds, right? Okay, I have a big on both sides. So what, I've never trained any other dog to do anything? I'm showing you in the real so you can be successful. And the funny part about it is, like, when you listen to Joe Rogan's podcast, you listen to Sean Ryan's show, one of my favorite podcasts, and all that stuff, it's like they all say this stuff too. They're like, they never read the comments because the comments are people who are sitting behind there delusional about what's going on. We're here to give you the truth and have a good time. And this is what I want to move into. So I'm moving into, while I'm still on this subject, I'm gonna transcend out of this. And training a dog is up and down. All right. And these videos are going to show the up and down. Like Curtis is really showing us the up and down. Okay. And I want you to see the up and down. And there was even up and down moments where I was like, I said to the camera, hey, I'm edgy today. I'm tired. I'm edgy. Well, it'd be just like you said. You come home from work, you're tired, you're edgy. You grab your dog, you got to be careful. You got to go out. So I'm telling you the way I'm feeling in certain times. But a dog, when I'm going in the dog training, when we're training in the real, it's showing you how awesome it is to get to the goal. When all these ups and downs and valleys take you, and how the dog trains you to go through ups and downs and valleys too. So I mention Winnie all the time, and I just got a really neat gift from sons. Shout out to Kyle Rhodes and Tony Franks for this really neat Winnie gift that Alec helped them prepare for me, which is this statue of Winnie with all her BDC placements on it, or all her national plates on it. We'll have to post it online with this, and I want to shout out to them, guys. That was a very special one for you. They caught me so off guard that they brought me a gift like that. That the carving is so crazy. They took this picture. The chest of the carving is her exact chest. I mean, it's just amazing. But when I'm bringing up these dogs, Winnie, it's when we talk about all these amazing stories, she was no different than these dogs we're fetching right now. I told Alec the other day, I said, Winnie was a pain in my ass through the fetch process. She did not want nothing in her mouth, and she did not, when she chased something, she'd run right by and go, yeah, I ain't grabbing that. And then as I had to take her through the grabbing process, and then if I gave her a bird, she'd grab the bird and want to eat it. She'd run off and start ripping the feathers off it. So the real, being in the real, there's something about the truth in anything that is so liberating, right? I mean, just think about anything you do in life. What's the truth? Okay, a Snickers bar or an apple. Well, it's pretty close to the truth of which one's going to be better for you, right? Okay, all right.
That's why you make Snicker salad.
Yeah,
so you can have both of them.
Go for a walk, sit down and watch Netflix. Okay, there's one that's one that are better for you. All right. So watch some motivational thing. Watch somebody dying. Read obituaries. I mean, there's so much black and white of, and obviously you got to go through different things in life, but I'm just saying, I'm doing black and white things, right, that are popping in my mind. Okay, so you got to be careful what you feed and what you navigate yourself, and then you got to be careful on what you feed a dog during the training. That's why we're giving you the truth, and that's why we're on this podcast. If somebody wants to BS you and you want to follow them, go ahead. But when you come to my seminar, you're going to see it in the real. Give me a dog. I mean, the thing that I'm really proud of in my training of over 1,000 dogs, could be even more than that now, is if you come to my seminars, if you come see us this summer, come meet us, and you spend a weekend at a seminar, all right, bring me any problem you got, and I'm going to show you the path of fixing it. Right in front of your eyes. There has not been one dog yet that I haven't been able to show it. All right? If the dog's mouthy at the line, ain't fetching a bird, is not quiet and holding blind, it's not coming, it's not recalling to you. There's not one thing that hasn't. So the confidence of what's fun is in a seminar is seeing this dog be like just completely out of whack. And then go, all right, one of my favorite things like magic tricks in seminars is like, all right, give me the dog. Boom. And just by my body language, the way I grab the lead, just by me knowing my tactics, just by knowing how to get through to the dog psychologically, boom, within 5 minutes, I have the dog and the people just go, I haven't been able to do that in like 6 months, right? Okay, that's my knowledge of having thousands of dogs through my hands on a lead, right? Okay, that's the feeling process. It's the same in martial arts. How do you become a black belt? Hours and hours of throwing punches and kicks and sparring and hours of getting hurt. You think, how do you learn to avoid a punch? Get hit a bunch of times. Pretty soon you learn to avoid a punch, right? How do you learn to avoid an arm bar or a triangle? Get caught in it a bunch of times. Pretty soon you learn how to not get caught in it, right? I remember one night I was so mad at a guy in my jiu-jitsu days. I'll never forget this in Beaver Dam at Justin Morris's school. Never forget this. This guy caught me in the triangle, and he was a lot bigger than me, and I was so mad he caught me in the triangle choke. Goes back down in his guard. I slap hands. I'm working on guard passing, which means I'm trying to get between his legs and get to cross-side patrol. I'm trying to pass his legs. He's got his guard, which means he's trying to submit me. Nails me on the triangle again. I slap the damn mat. I'm like, again. Me and him slap hands. I'm in his guard. He triangles me again. He slapped the dang mat. I freaking pissed again. The class is over. Justin Morris, owner of school, is like, hey guys, it's over. I said, I don't care. I got to go a full freaking couple minutes here before this freaking guy keeps triangle choking me. So we stay out there. Finally, Justin says, guys, lock the door on the way out. I could not stand that this guy kept triangling me, right? Over and over and over until it was like 11 o'clock at night. And what was cool about the guy at the time, I don't remember his name. I can see him vaguely in my brain because, we're talking 20 years ago. No, we're talking 15 years ago probably. Okay, 15, 20 years ago. And he said, and at the end of it, he said, here's why I'm catching you. Right? And I'm like, oh. He goes, here's what you're doing. I've been catching you at the same thing every single time. I just been hoping that you would figure it out. Okay? All right, now think about that. Think about what I just said. And he shows me how he's catching me. Guess what? I never barely ever got caught in a triangle choke in my career again. I actually could probably think about 5 times in my life I've been triangle choked after that, right? By anybody, any gym across the country, any tournament I went to in jiu-jitsu. Okay. All right. That's what we're talking about at a seminar with dog training. All right. If I can show you how to avoid to never have that happen with your dog again, guess what? Boom. Think about how that changes the course of you and your dog's relationship. I can show that you're never going to have that issue again, right? Okay. So you guys have been waiting a long time because trust me, I had great intentions to already get this first guest podcast out. We've already filmed it. Alec and I are already on location. And I'm wanting to lead in to talk about our first guest that you can lead in on the end of this for this episode right now. And I want to talk about him because what I'm leading into, what Alec and I just talked about, leads to my whole evolution of history of how I got here. And in 2011, I started training dogs in 2009. And I got into it. And my first dog, as we mentioned before, Toddy, he was getting force fetched by a pro and stuff. When I started training dogs on the side, I started with a shout out to Evan Graham, because Evan Graham and Mike Lardy had books, manuals, and videos of dogs pretty much demoing it. They weren't really showing it in the real like we are, but at least it gave me something to work towards. Evan Graham was kind of my mentor at that time. A guy named Terry Roglitz, who owned field champion Candlewoods Meet Joe Black. Candlewoods Meet Joe Black was very, very popular in the early 2000s, like 08, 09, 10, 11, 12. Candlewoods Meet Joe Black had bred a lot of females. Mary Howley and Terry Roglitz owner. And Mary Howley I was just talking about, and actually Mary Howley comes back around and who we're going to talk about this guest, because this guest mentions Mary Howley a lot of Candlewood Kennels. And Mary don't breed no more, but at one time Mary was a celebrity. Candlewood Kennels was a celebrity in Labrador Retriever breeders because it was Mary Howley, and she was actually from Portage, Wisconsin, which is really cool. She's from her own state. And if you got a Candlewood dog, that means you really, really had something. Because you got to remember, there's no internet. There's just magazines. And how was having a Candlewood dog so special? Because Mike Lardy was her trainer, which is also a Wisconsin trainer, who won the national 2 years in a row with Candlewood's Lottie, which was Candlewood's Tanks-A-Lot. Okay, her name was Lottie. Well, Mike built his name on Lottie, okay? And then he won with, what was the other one? Super Tanker. Was Candlewood's Super Tanker like a year or two later, which I think was out of Lottie. Okay? The field trial, which is the highest end of running marks and blinds, right? 400-yard marks and blinds. I mean, the game is just crazy. It takes a lot of work to be in. It takes a lot of property owning. There's a lot of things to it, but it's a beautiful sport. And like, I'm a fan of the sport, but I don't have the time to be able to dive into that type of thing. But Terry Roglitz is pulling into the kennel I'm working at, Rick Grant's Perfect 10 Kennels at the time down by Fort Atkins in Wisconsin, and I'm leasing kennels and I'm working on the side and I'm starting to build the business. And Terry Roglitz comes in and he says, all right, there's this young dog seminar with the #1 Derby dog trainer, which Derby dogs means dogs under 2 years old in field trials, to ever win the most derbies ever and have the most derby dogs, national derby dogs ever in the whole history of field trial history. And he's coming to Wisconsin in 3 weeks, and I highly recommend you get signed up by him. And I'm like, and at this time I am just starving for knowledge, because at this time I am starving for knowledge with all my martial arts instructors when I go to Master Toddy in Vegas, and Marcelo, my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Master Toddy is my Muay Thai coach in Vegas, and Marcelo is my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coach in Indiana when I got my black belt under him. Paul Vunak was my Jeet Kune Do coach in California. Starving for knowledge. Let's get the knowledge, accumulation of knowledge. And at this point, I'm a little frustrated with the training methods because I'm feeling like everything is like a little too harsh to me. Like my ex-wife said to me one time, she said she saw me doing a drill and I was putting pretty good pressure on my dog Bella, and she said, if this is the way that we got a dog train, I don't really want you doing this. This is pretty ugly. And I even told her, I went home that night, I'm like, yeah, I don't like this either. So when Terry Ragland said to me, he said, listen, you got to go meet this guy. He's got videos out right now, and when you meet him, it's going to change your whole perspective on how you train a dog, and you want to listen to everything this guy is, and this is a guy who's going to really, really help you for where you're at your career to bring you forward. So I suggest that you go and see this guy this weekend, and his name was Bill Hillman. And Bill Hillman, I was in awe of Bill Hillman. First off, there was a lot of history there. First off, another thing, circling back to what I'm talking about, is it's an August seminar, and Winnie's only, at this point, yeah, it's an August seminar. Winnie's only 8 months old, and I already got her doing blinds, which was rocking already. She'd already had a senior pass at 7 months, 3 weeks, so she's like 8.5, almost 9 months old, and I got her doing blinds, so that was fun. And I could not believe how Bill Hillman handled himself and handled the crowd at seminar. And when I was in the crowd, I thought to myself, someday I want to be him. I want to be able to give seminars with the same charisma and the same knowledge of him, to where he wasn't afraid of any. He had so deep of a well of knowledge that anybody that asked him a question, dumb or not, he could answer it. I mean, some people are like, my dog won't sit properly. It's like, oh boy, here we go. I want to learn something. If your dog can't sit properly, you'd think, okay, and Bill would answer it with grace. But one of the coolest stories and it's even on this podcast with Bill, that I mentioned in the podcast with him, is that in Bill's videos that he done, he shows his first number one video was called The Retriever Training Puppy. How to training a retriever puppy. Okay. And it came out in like 09 or 10. I met him in 11. And I had bought that video. As soon as Terry Rogers said, you got to go check out his video, I went and bought that puppy video. He said, you're going to want to watch this before you go see him. Bill didn't have any other videos out but this puppy video at the time. And I watched that thing over and over and over of him. And he was doing what we're doing right now. He was showing the progression of a pup named Nick. And Nick was this chocolate male he was showing a progression. Well, what was cool is I get to the seminar, and he's got his truck parked there, and he says, go ahead and let Nick out. So it's really neat, because I was like, oh, awesome. We had watched Nick in this puppy video, and we were going to get to see Nick now in the real, but Nick's now 2 or 3 years old, right? So, and it was so funny. I told this on a podcast with Bill, and then Bill was talking about it. And it was so funny. He comes out, and he says, let Nick out. Well, Nick goes through. There's like 30 of us underneath this tent. Nick goes through and just starts knocking over everybody's coffee and jumping on people and being belligerent. He's like 2 or 3. And you can just see the crowd of these ladies that ain't happy. And these guys getting all upset, being like, oh my God, I spilled my coffee. And I can't believe Bill Hillman's this master trainer, and he's got this dog out of control. And it was almost like he planned it, because in the midst of me, and I'm standing in the background, because I'm so excited to meet him, so excited to see him. So I'm just standing up out of my chair, like, I want to see what he's going to do here. All of a sudden he says, Nick here, boom. Nick comes out of being belligerent, and the crowd just comes and sits next to him and looks right up at him. And I was like, oh boy, this is going to be good. And what turned out at that seminar turned out to be life-changing for me with Bill Hillman, because for the first time of it being techniques, and this is what I try to teach in Wing Masters as well. For the first time of it being techniques, it was actually dog psychology. We are doing this because the dog is thinking like this, or the dog's having an issue like this, so the only way to get him to think the way we need him to think is to rewire his brain like this, right? So it was my first time that instead of seeing harsh methods where he just went, you better remember that tomorrow. You better remember that tomorrow with a collar. Bill was like, okay, here's what we got to do to rewire this dog's thinking. And here's the reason why that dog's doing that. He's doing that because somewhere along the line, you did this, this, and this wrong, and this is why he's doing whatever that is, like being noisy at the line. So he's showing his methods, and as the time's going on, well, the one that really peaked, and I really remember, he says, who's got the craziest dog at the line here? Which means a dog that's sitting at the line for a hunt test or a field trial or for a duck blind that whines and jumps and moves and cannot sit still when ducks are coming in or a duck call gets going. He said, who's got the craziest one here? And like 3 or 4 people raise their hand. He says, bring me the craziest dog you got. And I was like, for somebody to be in front of a seminar, in front of 30 people, to have the knowledge to know that he's going to be able to cure the craziest dog in front of everybody, oh, I can't wait to someday have this knowledge to stand in front of people and do the same thing. So this dog comes out, and I talk about this on the podcast with Bill as well. And there's this line. He says, bring me all these crazy dogs up. And this guy comes out, and he's HRC guy. I can remember he's all decked out in camo at a Bill's seminar. It's like, hey, dude, you don't have to wear your HRC camouflage stuff to the seminar. You can just wear what you want here. But anyway, it's kind of fun. But if you know anything about HRC, it's really funny because they're so crazy about their camo. So that's a really funny joke. If you don't have camo at an HRC event, they'll kick you out. If you have green shorts, no, it's got to be camo. I mean, if you don't have camouflage underwear, they check your underwear. If you have white underwear with a camouflage shorts over, you're kicked out. All you HRC people that are listening to this right now are going to die laughing when you hear this because, you know, I'm speaking the truth with the HRC camo police. But anyway, so they come out, and he's got a healing stick in the back of his pocket. So I'm watching, and Bill says, hey, hey! And everybody kind of stops, and this guy's walking from his vehicle, and he says, what are you doing with that in your pocket? Well, I'm gonna correct my dog. We don't use those things around here. They don't work anyway. Put it away. So he sends the guy back to his vehicle to put the healing stick away. And then you can imagine myself. Now I'm just like enamored, like, oh my God, all I've ever seen is people use healing sticks to steady a dog. You just told the guy to throw the healing stick back. I'm like, I cannot wait to see what the method is going to be to steady this dog up. And then Bill also got known for his traffic cop method, which I use a lot. And this is an amazing, brilliant steadiness process that we use at our program that we'll show in the Wing Masters program too. We got a little bit of a version of it. Like I mentioned to Alec one day when we were driving back from the podcast, and I mentioned to a lot of people, I can't get to Bill. You have to remember that Bill's been training field trial dogs and training dogs for 50 some years. There's another level of knowledge that I can't grasp yet. So here I am up here making a program and going, oh my, it's liberating because I love learning. So when I sat down in Bill's presence on this podcast that you're going to see, it was like, you just shut up and listen. I mean, you get in a room with him, you shut up and listen because things come out of him that you go, oh my God. I mean, there was one thing in there I'm not even going to mention, or maybe I mentioned it in their podcast already, that he changed my whole perspective of the summer and
repeat.
And you'll watch it.
Podcast.
It's on the podcast. I'm not going to go into it right now. Repeat. The subject of repeating marks. He changed my whole perception on it in March, and I had the number one summer of hunt testing. And somebody said to me over the summer, you know, you're in such a better frame of time, Mike. You know, you got less dogs now. You know, remember those years that you had all those hunt test hard times? You had all this stuff going on, and you know, just it's so good to see you in this good thing, as if I'm like some reborn again retriever trainer or something thing. I was like, I'm thinking this person. It's the same thing. I'm busy as hell still. The difference is I got one concept that trained my whole thing. I used it all summer, and it changed everything I did, and it's on the podcast. Right? So, you guys are about to be treated with 3 episodes, I think it was 3 episodes, right, Alec? Of Bill Hillman, me sitting down with him in Texas, that at his ranch, that we were able to, and we're going to put some few things together, that we were able to like film him coming in. We meet him at the end of his driveway. He drives us to his office. He comes in, he invites us, he shows us pictures, he talks about guns with us. I mean, we got a lot of cool behind the scenes stuff too. And he lets us sit down and gives us 6 hours of his time, and I'm grateful for Bill. And I really am grateful for Bill in different ways. So I want to, well, actually, before I go into this story about Bill, what was your, because you now are a new generation trainer. You've heard me talk about Bill. You heard me talk about the methods that we use. You know how I integrate some of it. You know how some of the stuff I tell you doesn't work for me that he does because he's just got a different way of presenting the dog that I don't understand. So I have to do it the way that I understand. What was, with you spending the knowledge and being in the room with him, what was your, Alec, for you being younger and being a younger trainer, what was your experience with being with Bill in that room for about 6 to 7 hours when you were behind the camera?
I guess the first thing would be I sat back and listened because I wasn't behind the camera, but it was like when he talked. It's kind of like when I listen to you talk about like something that I'm into. Like obviously I'm into dogs and I'm into dog training, but like he grasps your attention when he was talking like about something. Because like I've heard you talk about so much, like I've heard you talk about so much that like I just listen and I get what's going on. But like he has like an older way of looking at everything that wasn't the same of like, it's because I haven't heard it like that.
Yeah, that's
so awesome. It was like, it was interesting so awesome. Because, and now like you said, I don't agree with everything that he said because I've tried it and I don't agree with everything, but I thought it was really interesting and I always give it a try. Like it's like I had that, I told you I had my first dog that I could do the Bill Hillman way. Yeah. And that was a little Lily. I said I've given every dog the opportunity to try and do it. I've never had it. Right. Where? So like that's just something that doesn't work for me, just like you said. But it's just like when I listened to you, he grabbed my attention. He was very you knew he was in the room. Like if that makes sense. Like,
it makes sense.
Like when somebody walks in the room and you're like, I know, like he's got this aura about him, really cool. And then I love the Mallard. Like with him with Mallard. I thought that was pretty cool. And then like he taught me, like you've had versions of it, but I never understood it. Like I never did it with Chaos, but I did with Carmi. He showed me, I never seen a dog so in tune with somebody like that Mallard dog where he let the dog out in the video. Like we had it, him letting Mallard out, and the dog sat down before he opened the door. The dog looks up at him, stares at him, and then he lets him out because he gave him the eye contact.
Right.
Like there's something that like I've just never seen before. Right. Like I've seen high focus, but how do you get that high focus? How do you get a dog to stare you in the eyes? And like right now we're seeing Swag do that. Right. And we're seeing Ariat do that because you did a fine-tuned version, and then that's what we're doing right now. Right. It was really cool. It was really cool to meet somebody like that because you said like you've taught me everything I know. So then meeting the guy that taught you a lot of stuff that rewired your brain, it was really cool in that way. I kind of thought that was cool. That was like, generation to generation, like where you learned a lot from me, and then I learned everything from you. Right. Yeah.
You said it perfectly about his presence in the room. His reason is because you literally felt when we walked in there, you were sitting next to a legend. And anybody who don't know how Bill Hillman is, just because you haven't been in the retriever game for a long time. If you've been in the retriever sports or typed in retriever training in YouTube, Bill Hillman comes up. He's everywhere, right?
Like it'll be funny. I've been thinking about this. It'll be funny when you're gray and old in your 80s. It'll be funny because like my kids, when I'm training a dog or something, it'll be like, "Where did you learn that?" And I'll be able to say you. Right. And I'll be able to, like that's how it felt.
And you'll have the same stories exactly too. And he was talking about people that worked for him and training them. And he was talking about people that influenced him on the podcast.
Like that was another cool part. It's like you seeing like him. It's been 15 years, and then seeing how that all intertwines back to how it started, like a big portion of training for you. Right. And that's what I liked.
Awesome. And I appreciate that. And I appreciated you being there because of the generation and how you've been one of my number one people that's ever learned from me. And it was fun because for me, it's just in the retriever games, right? Marks, blinds, that's what Bill lives for. I'm crazy about upland too. But I got to take some of the principles, put it in upland so that we could get more out of the dogs in upland, which is some of the principles, even though they're more retriever based, waterfall based, just getting in tune with that dog more also made me in tune more when I was taking them to upland tournaments.
Like here's a good question, I never asked you this. But who taught you how to whistle sit a dog in the upland field? Did you create that yourself or did somebody have to teach you?
No, I created that myself.
Yeah. No, that's what I never asked that question. I didn't know.
Yeah. I created that myself and how I could bring the whistle sit over.
Like, do a lot of trainers know how to do that, would you say? In the upland field.
No, because that goes back to the other podcast where they do sit to the flush. And then we argue with them all the time.
Oh, yeah.
That goes back to another podcast where we got to talk about sit to the flush or sit to the whistle, right? Sit to the whistle is the way to go. Sit to the flush is not realistic. Okay, if you want to do it for the UKC Upland program, all right, no problem. I can teach you how to teach your dog to sit to the flush so you can go get a UH title on your dog in the wintertime. That is not at all in the spaniel world. I don't care. You guys have not hunted enough. And you can argue with me, and you can start commenting on this, about this right now. I don't care. I'm not going to read the comments because it's a stupid argument that sitting to the flush has any relevance in a real-life upland hunt. It absolutely does not. So if you're out there and you're going, oh, I was thinking about sitting my dog to the flush because that's a hunting element, I watched it on this video, don't do it.
Actually, do it if you hunt with me. And my dog can get all the retrieves.
Especially do it if you're coming with us. We'll like to watch you.
Yeah.
It's so funny because... here's the real reason why, just to touch on that for 2 seconds, because I don't want to get off a bill here, is because there's so many random flushes in real world hunting. In a bird in a trap or in a launcher, we can predict when we want it to. We can predict the sit. Go wild bird hunting and tell me how many random flushes you have around your dog. How many random flushes you got that your dog ain't even near that flush. What, is the dog supposed to run around every time it sees a bird get up, sit down? Christ, you'd never be hunting. The dog would never be hunting. He'd be sitting down all the time. It's just a ridiculous version. But anyway, let's not get off that. Okay, but thank you for asking for your... Yes, I taught the dogs about upland. I brought things like that into the upland world, and which is what's made me really well and what's made me mentor people. And then a lot of my shooting program has been all just different things that I use that made me better, that when I taught it to other people made them better. And my shooting program is like a lot of my own invention, innovative stuff on that, of my own growth of learning how to shoot a shotgun better, right? In the upland, there wasn't no mentor for me in the upland. I watched tournament hunters. I went tournament hunting, and the only mentor that had for that, I take that back. There was a couple that influenced me. One influenced me was Craig Steinbach, and I want to get him on this podcast. He's coming on. Flying Gun Kennels, the most BDC Super Major winner ever. Okay, and he mainly ran pointers. Another influencer of mine was Bernie Birkenholtz, is another one I want to get on there. They were influencers in the way because I watched them as competitors, and I got to watch what their dogs did, and I got to share some knowledge with them, and then later on learned on, oh, okay. So they did share some knowledge with me. But in general, like... tournament hunting, when I started, you have to think about, I don't want to jump ship too much, I don't want to end this on Bill, but I just want to quick say this, is that, because this isn't what the subject is about, is that tournament hunting, when I entered, nobody wants you to take their money. The only reason tournament hunting has evolved at such an extreme rate, and I'll give myself pride on it, and people say it about me all the time, and I'm very proud of it, and it's fine, and I do pat myself on the back with this every now and then, is because I opened tournament hunting up to the inside view to people. But when I started tournament hunting, you think somebody's going to tell me how they're winning? No, that would mean we would win and take their money. They don't want us to know, right? The reason why people are bull riding at extreme level now is because the old school bull riders have bull riding camps. Dale Brisby, one of the number one rodeo podcasts in the country, right? Okay, he has a regular internship to come learn how to bronc ride, and he's best friends with JB Mooney, the number one bull rider ever. They have schools for this stuff now. I created, it wasn't Wing Masters at the time, but I created in 2018 the first upland tournament hunting upland seminar that's ever happened. There never was. It wasn't like somebody put on a seminar and said, hey, come to this and learn how to tournament hunt. I would have been there. It would have been awesome. I don't know, like, this would be awesome because I'm getting my eight handed to me. And I'd really like to know some of these inside details that nobody will tell. And if I can go to a seminar, I'm going to get these inside details. I had to learn them the hard way. Money, pay, get my butt kicked. And all of a sudden somebody is drinking a beer one night and they leak out something. The number one tournament hunting way I learned that I logged was partying. Okay, and Bernie said it many times, Steiny said it many times, we've come around. The best conversations in tournament hunting I got was partying with everybody. And if I just didn't drink as much as they did, okay, I'd let them get talking about how they beat this guy and how they won this tournament. And pretty soon what they would do is they would unveil these little oh, I never thought about that. Oh, I didn't know you were doing that. Ooh. And then I was just like starving for info, so then I would just log it. And then all of a sudden I would start piecing these tactics together, and then all of a sudden I start when I go, thank you for telling me that night of partying. Let's party again sometime. Hope you give me a couple more. Like the number one education I got was partying, and sometimes I did that a little too much and I learned nothing. Okay. Okay. But a lot of times I learned a lot. All right. If you sit back and the funny part about that is why I say that is like that was like my education is partying. All right. But if you think about how many millions and millions of dollars I've seen at Milford Hills Hunt Club when I was guiding there, millionaires come to Milford Hills Hunt Club. They meet, they go pheasant hunting, they sit and have cocktails and meals from a chef afterwards, and that's how thousands and millions of dollars of deals happen in America. Okay, their companies have a guy who's an entertainer with a credit card to just take people out and wine and dine them to try to get the sale. That's the guy's position. He's a partier guy. He has to take them out and get these guys trusting the company. So I was just lucky that partying gave me my education in tournament hunting. All right. Which reminds me, I did have a beer and some whiskey with Bill a couple times after one of the seminars. But, okay. So, that was a fun little tangent we got on there. That was fun. And this has actually been a really fun podcast because I wasn't expecting it to go this way. So, this has been rocking on some good stuff. I want to finish with Bill on something here. And there's a kinship here. And I want this story to be told as we end this podcast. And then we're going to build this up so that you get to see Bill and you get to see his episode, and then you get to start seeing Bill after we release this podcast. But it was in 11 is when I saw him the first time, and then he gave me his cell phone number, because what was cool is at the seminar in 11, he saw my ambition, he saw that I was really into it, so he started using me in martial arts we call it uki. Like, if somebody's doing a seminar and they say, come here, and they do the technique on you, it's like a very prideful thing in martial arts, because you're like, ooh, I got to go up in front of everybody, and he demoed on me. It's like a very prideful thing.
That's how I felt when you were taking me through the quartering cones.
So it's a very prideful thing when the instructor thinks of you enough to demo with you in martial arts. All right? Anybody in martial arts that experienced that understands that. All right? Bill in 11 saw how just I was so like my eyes kept just bugging out my head. And he called me up and I started helping him. When he needed me to throw a bumper or go throw a bird, he needed me to fire a gun, or he needed me to hand him something, or I was just picking up birds and I was just doing things that so he could keep teaching, and I was just taking care of everything around him and I was helping him. Okay. In 16, so then I had a cell phone number and I'd call him and I had all his videos and we would talk on the phone, and not extreme lot. I didn't bother him that much. I just enough to be able to call him, and he'd always answer the phone for me. He gave me his personal cell phone, and I really appreciate it. In 16, I saw him again. Okay. In 16 was the worst year of my dog training career that I could have ever had. I had a piece of shit trying to sue me. I was building a new kennel. I just moved back up north. I was trying to find different places to train because I had so many places when I lived in southern Wisconsin. Now I didn't have many places. I didn't have as good a group of dogs. I was stretched thin. It was just a bad year. This just couldn't seem like anything was going. Okay, I end up at this dang seminar with the same guy who's trying to sue me. Okay. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So when I get there, I'm like, all right, I don't care. I'm here for Bill. I'm here to do it. And this guy's trying to run my business. He's hitting me on social media. I end up blocking him because I'm just like, I don't need nothing. People are texting me, telling me. It's okay, at the seminar, I'm there. The guy is literally chastising me behind my back, and people are texting me at the seminar. I left my phone in the truck. They're texting me at the seminar and about the fact that this guy's all over social media still trying to get me while I'm at the Bill Simmons seminar. About how bad of a trainer I am and how this and that. Okay. The guy goes up to Bill, all right, at this seminar. And I hear this from somebody else who knows me. It's lunchtime. I go to my truck. My phone has got like 70 messages. I mean, I never even saw, my phone to this day has never had this many messages, okay? It's got like 70 messages on it. I can remember seeing like 70 text messages. What is going on? I'm hoping my family's okay. About what's going on behind the scenes about this guy posting and texting everybody about me while he's at the seminar, while he should be learning. I got my phone in the truck learning, right? He's sitting there not even paying attention, all right, texting and messaging everybody on his social media, and I don't see it because we're blocked from each other, right? And I'm like, okay. So I go to my truck, and one of my friends at the time says, don't worry about it. We all got your back. You're at the right place. You're at the Bill Hillman seminar. All right. The guy goes up to Bill and next to somebody that knows me. All right. And in the hunt test world and in the field trial world, I know everybody in some way or form. It's a small world, right? Okay. He goes up there and says to Bill, well, first off, let me go back one step. The beginning of the seminar starts, and I go up and say hi to him, and there's like 40 people there. And the beginning of the seminar starts, and it couldn't have got any better for this guy. Because Bill Hillman says, where's Mike Vaughn at? I need him to help me. Oh man, that's why everything got fired for the whole opening morning, is because he instantly knew that I knew his methods, he knew I'd help him, and he knew that wherever he was demoing, I'd be able to help him. I'd be able to give him, because I knew a lot of his stuff. Oh, that fired the whole storm that I don't even know about before noon. And once I get to noon, it fires up. Okay. At noon, the guy goes up and says, all right, I don't think you should be down with Mike Vaughn. He's not the guy that you think he is. And starts talking about, well, he's saying this as somebody that knows me next to him. Okay. And Bill says to him, which is like, in Thai, we do a little bow. We put our hands together, we do a little bow. So it's like a salute Thai to him right now if you're watching on a camera. If you're listening, it's like I put my hands together and I put my head to my hands together, which means a Thai salute to him. Okay, in martial arts, he says, Mike's, if that's the truth, then Mike's at the right place because he's learning from the right guy, and you need to worry more about yourself than what Mike's doing if you want to get better too. That's how he handled it. He didn't say, well, I'll talk to the rest of the crew and see if we can kick Mike Vaughn out of here. And he didn't say that, and he didn't say anything to him to make him feel like, oh, I'll see what I can do and see if, I don't know anything about this. I'll see what I can do to like make him feel better. He basically stopped it right there. Bill stopped it right there and said, I ain't having none of this at my seminar, and said, Mike, if that's the case, if Mike's as bad as you think he is, then he's at the right place and here to learn from me. And you should be doing the same right now instead of coming up and tattling like a little kid, right? Okay. The respect that I already had for Bill, in the year that I had, which 2016 was the absolute worst year I ever had in my whole life. There's probably like 50 stories. I just can't think of a worst year in my whole life. Okay. And I got progressively better. That was a year that I needed somebody that was a mentor to me to back me up. And so I remember that like it's yesterday, as clear as the day. So when somebody does something to you like somebody did at one time at a tournament, or somebody that's learning from me, I learned from him how to have people's back when the politics of anything happens in a group setting, right? Okay? You do you. Right? If you're coming to learn from me, I'm here to help you. I don't care about what's going on in the outside world, right? I don't care about what your background is, because if you're coming to learn from me, it means you're trying to get better. I don't wake up each day. I've never woke up each day and said, boy, I hope I can screw somebody over today. Who can I screw over? I never woke up and say, you know what? I hope I can screw this dog over today. I hope he gets worse today. I mean, come on. I don't really wake up. So here's the other thing. Let's say you get upset with a dog or mad at a dog. You don't wake up and go, God, I hate that dog. I can't understand. I hate that dog today. You can go, oh man, this dog is a pain in my butt. This little son of a gun, I am getting sick of him. Okay, so what do you end up doing? When you're getting sick of them, here's what real dog trainers do. Here's what real people do. And back to that comment you were saying earlier. Here's what the real world does. you go, how can I get better? How can I get to this dog's brain better? What can I do different?
As bad as it sounds, it's actually the dog you want to train the most in the day.
Yeah, and then you go, and so what ends up happening is you end up thinking about that dog so much because you become obsessed with how can I get to this dog? And what does that dog do? It grows you into this trainer where when you get done with the experience of all these different things you tried, you went through this Russian roulette reel of like, oh man, I'm running out of ideas. So after a while, you're just making shit up, right? Okay? And all of a sudden, something you made up works and you go, oh, whoa, okay, cool. I can't believe I just made that up and it worked. I mean, there's a lot of made up things in my system that really work for everybody now because I didn't know what to do anymore. There was no more answers. I just made things up until something worked, right? Okay? And we do that in life, right? There's times when things don't go right in life. You just make things up and you fake it until you make it type deal. I say, whoa, that really worked. I faked it really good there. Okay? So, I mean, and that's what happens in it. Bill stood up for me. I'll never forget it. It's taught me how to be a leader. He taught me how to be a leader, which you said he was a legend when you met him. He taught me how to be a leader. Me being a leader has taught me. It's taught me how to navigate people. It's taught me how to navigate energy of people. What do I say to you all the time? I said, something will upset me or something. I said, I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to navigate that. I turned my words to navigate now because somebody will call me, something's going on, blah, blah, and I'll be like, give me a little bit. I'm going to have to navigate that. Because I have to go through my mind and instead of jumping to conclusions and getting crazy about it, doing my fight mentality. My fight mentality would be like, let me tell that son of a gun right now. I'm going to get on right now. All right. That's what the fight brings in you, right? That's what defending yourself and going there. But the maturity brings in you, okay, let me navigate that. There's probably more to this than what's upsetting me. And you roll there. All right. That was part of what Bill's maturity. And, you know, and when we sat with Bill and he talked about God, and he talked about things that trip his trigger in his 80s now and what he's doing on his way out of training. I thought to myself, okay, that's me in 40 years. All right. So in 40 years, I'm going to be at his level. So I hope I can be as same presence as him. I hope I can, first off, live that long. Okay. And second off, I hope that I can get to that level because that's what we want to do is get wiser. But guys, it's going to be rocking episodes with Bill. It's been a snowy day. Alec and I took care of dogs today, and I said, you know what? It's snowy. Forget it. All it's going to do is it's going 40-mile-an-hour winds. We got to keep the dogs warm, to keep them safe, keep everything. Tomorrow we'll be back to training. And I said, let's get on the podcast. And I literally just had a podcast feeling today. And now it's been a rocking podcast, so I'm excited. I appreciate you being here too, Alec. And so we're going to release this. You're going to see Bill now. So now what we're going to do is bring you clips of Bill's different episodes. And you're going to see why the guy that influenced me, and you're going to hear things in his podcast influence. You heard stories about what he's done for me that I just told you. And it's going to be really rewarding for you as well. And take it in. And then we're going to be bringing Wingmaster stuff to you now. Pay attention now. We are posting the seminars. All right? The mentorship program that I keep talking about. Get a hold of me because I'm going to mentor a few people. We're editing the program right now, and I want to take some mentorship people through it so they can use the program kind of uncut and just not quite professionalized yet, and train them so that I can get some of the glitches out too, right? So if you're interested in that, contact me. All right, the website, I am pumped because the website of Wingmasters becomes the full vision of bringing it together. It becomes the showroom of Wingmasters. So I am with a really rocking company out of California. I have a meeting with them tomorrow, which I'm excited about. And we are in the mapping stages of the Wingmasters website to where this is going to be a national brand website that's going to be a gorgeous website that's going to get all the information, my breeding program, the whole thing. Puppies. We have some rockin' black litter puppies coming. That's a black litter. That's great pups coming. We have some fox reds and some yellows. So if you're in a puppy for the spring, get it. Training. Okay, you're going to want to get on my list. Alec and I are getting close to full right now of what we're going to do this summer. And so if you're wanting your dog trained by Wingmasters internally, you need to get a hold of us right now because we're picking up big time. Okay. Seminars. Come see us. Come see us at seminars. even if you don't have a dog right now, or if your dog's beyond the training, or you're just wanting, come and just enjoy summer and sit down and just enjoy the energy we bring this summer. It's fun and heck. We have a good time. We eat afterwards. It's a blast. Our seminars. So stay tuned on the seminars. All right, guys, and then also be true to your dog. We kind of went through, truth be told, Alec and I went in an awesome circle here tonight about these people making these stupid comments, and what does it come back down to? Be true to your dog. With that, I'm mic dropping. Be true, guys. Another great episode. Thanks for hanging with us. We'll be back here soon for you. Enjoy Bill's episodes. See ya.